Hey, we're at the 2017 Hemispheric Security Conference at FIU, that's Florida International University. I'm standing here with João Augusto of Eurasia Group. He's got a few thoughts for us, some final thoughts, if you will, on Brazil and security and the geopolitical situation and how that relates to business.
Yeah, and I think that the main issue now in Brazil has to do with corruption, which relates not only to the economic environment more broadly, but also to the security issue as well, given the fact that the government, the federal government and state governments in Brazil have little money today to deal with corruption issues or security issues. But the corruption theme in Brazil that's been going around for 3 years roughly is key because it's changing not only the political environment in the country. You know, you have a lot of politicians involved, political class involved, but it's also changing the way that companies do business in general and the way that the private sector deals with the public sector. And it's been a major problem, not only for Brazil, but for other Latin American countries. It's a messy process, as we were seeing, but I do think that in the medium to longer term, it's a positive one, both on the political dimension and on the economic dimension as well.
Well, now, let me follow up with that. One of the things that I love to study and research is urbanization, and you mentioned public sector there for a second. With everything that's going on in Brazil, how do you think that's going to affect urbanization, as a word, the rapid urbanization of rural groups and the issue with the favelas, etc.?
No, I think that's a problem. In Brazil is very urbanized already, but there's a lot of also disorganized as well, urbanization as well, given the fact, as you mentioned, the favelas.
Do you think it'll slow down with some of what's happening now, or do you think it'll stay on track as far as like bringing in those areas?
I think the challenge is not less going from rural to the cities, but more kind of how to make the cities more livable, right? More equal, more
exactly.
As well.
Like, what do you see that happening with that development?
I think it's going to be harsh. In fact, the reason why I mentioned corruption and the fiscal issues is that a lot of that has to do not only with the federal government, but also with state governments and local governments. And we are entering a moment in Brazil where the economy, even though it's starting to grow again, these governments do not have enough money, so they have to be more creative to deal with those issues. So I do think that the worst is in the past now, but I do think it's going to be a very slow progress in the sense of implementing the policies needed to integrate these these sectors of the cities that are completely marginalized. But there's been some successes. I mean, if you look back 10 years ago, I think it's better now than it was 10 years ago, right? But 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of thing.
And just very briefly, what would you say as far as the feasibility of foreign direct investment in the public-private partnerships in the area?
No, I think that's
in the country?
That's one very promising path now, given the fact that the public sector does not have a lot of money, okay. So they will need to get that money from somewhere else, right? So I do think that Brazil, you know, when you look at specific sectors of the economy, you know, they're opening up, they're reforming, they want to attract investments from the U.S., from Europe, from China, wherever it comes from. And I do think that to these public-private investments as well. So I do think that that's very promising, because if you don't have the money, you know, the public sector doesn't have the money, I think they have to work together with the private sector. And Brazil has a lot of experience on that already. It's just a matter of implementing, a matter of getting the ball rolling and choosing successful projects and policies. And I think that, you know, there's plenty that they've done, and so I think that there's plenty to choose from as well.
Do you have any one-sentence worth of advice for any businesses that are interested in investing in Brazil, and especially in the public-private partnerships that are available?
That's good. I think, well, one, Brazil is, even when Brazil is doing badly, it's not doing so badly because it's too large to ignore, right, okay. Given the scale.
So all the headlines are a little bit inflated, maybe?
I mean, Brazil, usually the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? We are very skeptical of people that are too optimistic or too pessimistic on Brazil. Okay. And if you're in it for the long term, it may be costly to get in, but once you're in, it pays off in the long term.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. This is pretty much the end of the Hemispheric Security Conference. For now, I will try to put out updates when the next one's coming up. FIU always has panels and conferences that speak to international business, international politics, and international security. Hope to see you guys later. Thank you.